lovely friends, it's Margaret, and it is time to talk about what I will be doing in November. So you'll note I did not say reading in November, I said doing, because there is a lot of things. There are a lot of things that will be happening in November for me. Some of them hopefully will be reading some books, but first we do need to talk about Nanowrimo. If you are not interested in Nanowrimo at all, I guess I will give you a timestamp at the bottom that will give you when I start talking about what I'm reading for November. If you've been on my channel for any length of time, you know that I am a writer. I am hoping to someday in my lifetime eventually be published. I am in the process of acquiring one project, editing another project, and prepping to start a third project, which will be my novel that I'll be writing for National Novel Writing Month that goes through the whole of November, also known as Nanowrimo, if you've never heard of it before. So yeah, Nanowrimo is really stressful, I guess, because you've got a lot of pressure. You have to write 50,000. The goal, you don't have to. The goal, if you're being traditional, which is what I'm doing this year, is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. That is 1,667 words a day, which is a stretch for me right now, just considering how little writing I am able to do at one time. Usually I am able to push a little bit more for November because, I don't know, my brain just like, something in my brain turns on and I'm like, okay, I guess I can write all the words. They may not be good words, but I can write them. Anyways, I did want to give you guys a few of my plans for November. I am going to be hosting another virtual retreat. I am currently in the process of deciding whether I will be doing that retreat in the first weekend or the third weekend of November. I'm not entirely, like, I don't know yet which one is going to be better. I've asked for some second opinions on that and I'm waiting for those to come in. So I'll just put in the description box if you're interested. I will put when the actual dates are going to be, so make sure that you check that out. I will also be doing weekly write-ins on my channel on Friday nights. Those just are the best nights for me. I will probably do them about 8 or 9 o'clock. I'll give you guys, like, you'll have some heads up. They'll be scheduled. Follow my Twitter because that's probably where I will be promoting them the most. The easiest place for me to promote them. And then the third thing you need to know about what's going to be happening on my channel this month is that every Wednesday I will be posting a writing video. I am going to try and make at least a couple of them videos that like are bookish as well, so my people who are here for the booktube content can also enjoy. I have a little bit of a recommendations video that I think I'm gonna do that's bookish, so but it's also writerly. Those aren't my plans for November when it comes to Nanowrimo. Like I said, takes up a lot of time, plus I have a, 40-hour-a-week job, so I'm going to be crying. Now let's talk about what I will be reading in the month of November. I am participating in 2 readathons this month. I'm ready for it. I know last month I was like, I can't readathon at all, and I don't know that I read any books in November. I read one. So far, we are on October 25th, and I've read one book. It's okay. Sometimes your brain needs a break. But I am very excited for and ready to jump back into the readathon game for these 2 readathons that I will be participating in November. One of them, kind of, sort of, I will be doing anyways because Nanowrimo, and so it's partly to help me with the Nanowrimo, but both of them go from November 1st until November 30th. They are the whole month, so I've got plenty of time to read these books, to work on these books. Hopefully I'll be able to pick up at least some of them as audiobooks. I hope. I tried to keep this reasonable. I don't think I succeeded. I originally was going to read 3 or 4 for each, and then I started looking up books for one of them, and I kept remembering books that I wanted to read. So, yeah. The first readathon I am going to be participating in is IndigAThon. This is put on by Brody over at @2Brody and Michelle from Thor Wants Another Letter. They're both lovely people that I am so blessed to know, and if you have not heard of IndigAThon before, you need to check it out. The goal of IndigAThon is just to encourage people to read more literature by Indigenous authors, whether that's nonfiction, fiction, poetry. I've got the whole gamut this time around. I also tried to structure my TBR in such a way that all of the books hit multiple prompts. They've got this like cool bingo board that's only got 9 prompts. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am going to try and black it out with as many books as possible, but like I said, I am a smart TBR maker, and so many of these books, I'll say what prompt they are for, but they're going to hit more than one prompt. I also might be adding one because I have a buddy read that I am trying to set up, and so, like, I don't know. It may change. My TBRs usually do, but I was watching their videos, and they kept mentioning books I wanted to read, and so now I have 7 books. Like I said, my goal is to read at least 3 of these. but I would like to read more. I'm still waiting for all of these to come in from my library because we're not in November yet, and I'm just doing good at making this TBR before November 1st, so please give me points for that. We are the weekend before it needs to post. Like, I'm a full week ahead of schedule, filming-wise, so please be proud of me. Please, I need someone in my life to be proud of me. So the first book that I am going to be reading is Pet by Akwaeke Emezi. I read Freshwater by Akwaeke Emezi last year, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what Akwaeke Emezi does with a younger audience. Freshwater was an adult book. I believe this is either middle grade or YA. I have heard amazing, amazing things about it. It is a dystopian, and I want to say, I can't find it in the blurb, like the summary, but I want to say that the book has some sort of non-binary rep in it, which is why it is going to be counting for intersectionality, and it is going to be counting for read a book by an indigenous author from outside of the United States. The second book that I am planning on reading is The Death of Sitting Bear by N. Scott Memede. This is a poetry collection, from what I understand, that he has written about his life and his experiences as an indigenous person. This is going to be fulfilling the prompt for written by an author that is new to me. I am trying to dabble in poetry, read a little more poetry, and so I figured that this would be a good book to pick up and start working on. It also counts for nonfiction, and well, we'll get there. The third book that I am planning on reading is Carrie, a Memoir of Survival on Stolen Land by Toni Jensen. This is also nonfiction. It is written by a Métis woman, and she basically, from what I understand, is taking her experience as an indigenous woman growing up in Iowa, and it sounds like in a very conservative setting and family, and she's contrasting that with the history of Native Americans in the United States and kind of drawing parallels between those. The fourth book that I want to get to, and this is the one that I definitely am going to get to because this is a new favorite author, but it is Black Sun by Rebecca Rohnhorst. I have no idea what this is about. I just know Rebecca Rohnhorst wrote it. I believe it is dystopian or sci-fi or fantasy in some way, but like I didn't need to know anything about it other than the fact that Rebecca Rohnhorst wrote it. That's all I needed. I looked it up on Goodreads so I could be a good booktuber. I'm not going to read the whole synopsis again because it's Rebecca Rohnhorst. You should just read it because she is an amazing writer, and just take my word for it. But it is definitely, it sounds like fantasy, possibly, or yeah, what is the genre? Okay, so it sounds like it's fantasy. It's like some sort of fantasy based on the civilizations of the pre-Columbian Americas. I'm ready for it. Anyways, I love her Trail of Lightning. I don't even remember what the official name for the series is. I love that series. I am waiting for the next book. This is also part of a series. I will probably regret reading it before the next book is out because that tends to be how I end Rebecca Rohnhorst books. But I don't care. The next book we need to talk about is Heartbreak Braves by Pamela Sanderson. Again, not one that I really know that much about, except that Brody was giving out recommendations. And I said, give me enemies to lovers. And Brody gave me this title. And somehow it ended up on my Kindle accidentally. It just kind of happened. My fingers slipped, okay? It's a series of romances, and it sounds like she works in the foster care system in some way, shape, or form, the main character, and then this dude comes in and he starts messing things up for her, and she doesn't like it, and there will be clashing and sparks, and then they will fall in love. Ooh, it sounds like he's the nephew of her boss. This is going to be so much fun. Heartbeat Braves fulfills the prompt to read the group book. I am also going to be reading a middle grade called Rain Is Not My Indian Name by Cynthia Letitia Smith and Lori Earley. It's a middle grade on the higher end. It is a very short book, which is part of why I chose it. But it's about a girl who, she's a photographer, and she's grieving the death of her best friend, and then something happens with a camp that her aunt runs, and she is drawn into kind of working with or documenting or trying to help with this controversy that's going on. It didn't give a lot of details in the synopsis. I, again, don't usually need a lot of detail. Did anyone else like read the synopsis for a book and then immediately forget what it's about? Oh, okay, so she is hired by the town newspaper to photograph the campers, and it's kind of like trying to figure out how she fits in with the community that she belongs to. From what I understand, I want to say that it's actually illustrated, so I'm very interested to see how that plays into things. I love books with illustrations. They are my jam. And then the final one, and I was wrong about pet. Pet is only counting for the intersectionality prompt at the moment, though it can count for the outside the US. But for the actual, for the actual outside the US prompt that I'm going to be doing, I am going to be reading The Marrow Thieves by Cherie Demeline. This is a dystopian. I believe it involves non-Indigenous people stealing marrow from Indigenous people's brains. That's not where you have marrow. From Indigenous people's blood. You also can't steal that from the blood. Like, you have to, it's bones. It's bones. Marrow isn't bones. I'm sorry. I didn't take high school biology. Everything I know, I learned by osmosis. It is dystopian, and people are no longer dreaming. Yes, there we go. Okay, so people are no longer dreaming, but Indigenous people can dream, and so by taking their marrow, non-Indigenous people are now able to dream, and so, yeah, you know, that doesn't, no parallels there. Anyways, I don't know if the author is Canadian, but it does take place in Canada, and it is a dystopian about them rising up, obviously, and like being like, hey, no, you can't do that no more. I have no self-control. I believe I can read all of the books, and then we get to the end of the month, and I've read none of them. So that obviously is not all 9 spaces, but the other prompts are to buddy read a book, which I am going to be doing probably, and then also to engage with a piece of Indigenous media that is not a book. So non-bookish Indigenous media, media by an Indigenous person. I am sure I will be able to find something on there. The internet exists. It's not going to be hard to find. So the second readathon that I will be participating in is Nonfiction November. I have been wanting to do this readathon for like 3 years. And I keep forgetting that it is going to happen until November 1st comes around, and I'm like, well, that's, nope, okay, bye. So anyways, I'm doing it this year. I have all of these books here. There are prompts for Nonfiction November. Basically, the point of Nonfiction November is to get people to read nonfiction. All you have to do is read one nonfiction one nonfiction book in the month of November to qualify. There are 4 prompts. You do not have to use the prompts. You can completely ignore them. I will be using them slightly. They say you can use them in any way your brain works. I like that. I like being like that. I like being like that. So the prompts are, if I can, hold on, can I remember them off the top of my head? It's time, movement, buzz, and discovery. So for time, I am going to be reading a book about a different time period, and that is The Edge of the Empire, A Journey to Britannia from the Heart of Rome to Hadrian's Wall. I am doing some research on early Britain. I'm looking at the Romans and how they conquered Britain. I'm also looking at the Norman conquest of the Anglo-Saxons, and it's all part of a book because I'm trying to get an idea of the things I want to pull together to create this society and this world, because I like basing my worlds on you know, at least some sliver of things that actually happened, which is really fun when the things you're basing them on are just like ridiculous. Hence why I like writing Tudor-esque era stuff, because Henry VIII was the most ridiculous. And like, I mean, I don't know that there has ever been anyone in the world in history more ridiculous than him, at least not in what is considered Western history. And maybe there have been in other countries, in other historical contexts that I do not know of yet because I haven't gotten there yet in my life. The second prompt is a movement, and for that one, I will be reading a book with movement on the cover, and that is The Norman Conquest, The Battle of Hastings, and the Fall of... They put the sticker right in the middle of the title. Hold on. The Fall of Anglo-Saxon England. So this is the time period that I am kind of loosely drawing from. Most of my inspiration is coming from this Norman conquest of Great Britain. We're looking like it's kind of after the conquest has happened, but I'm not going to get into that because there's an entire video that I'm going to be doing. It is by Mark Morris. I started reading this earlier this year, had to return it to the library. I'm going to pick it up again because, again, I am fascinated by this time period. If it is medieval England, basically medieval anything, I'm like into it. I am ready. For Buzz, I am going to be reading Carrie by Toni Jensen. This is counting for Buzz because it is a brand new release for 2020, so it has had some buzz. We're taking all of the ways we can do these prompts, and then the final one that I am going to be trying to get to is Discovering Anglo-Saxon England by Martin Welch, not Michael, Martin Welch. If you hadn't guessed, this is the one for discovery. because discovering is in the title. This is just basically about, obviously, Anglo-Saxon England and kind of how they lived. And so we're doing I like making amalgamations of various different things that existed in reality and be like, this is my history thing. So I am going to be reading this to get an idea of how I want to like build their houses and all of that. But that is my TBR for November and what I'm doing in November, and I would love to hear what you are doing in November. Are you doing IndigAThon? Are you doing Nonfiction November? At least read a book by an Indigenous author this November. That would be really cool of you. I have some recommendations if you would like them. I would say read Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Rohnhorst. I would say read There by Tommy Orange if you like really like complicated and not weird, but plot structures that you have to kind of pull the pieces from and put together. There is a fantastic book. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please check out these videos over here. I think this is the side that I usually do videos on. I'm not entirely sure. More messy videos for you right here. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!